We praise the Eternal with all our instruments, with the harp, with trumpets, with the sounds and voices from around the globe that we'll be hearing tonight. And we welcome also your voice. Even as we're not together in this space, we join you in your spaces as we share the songs, the prayers, and the oath of Kol Nidre to commit to our self-betterment in this new year. So welcome, L'Shana Tova Tikateva. May we all be inscribed in the book of life. And we welcome your voices from our congregation. We call upon Paul and Nancy Gross to light our Ner Shel Yom HaKippurim, our Yom Kippur candles.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Yom HaKippurim. Blessed are you, eternal our God, sovereign of the universe, who has sanctified us with God's commandments and commanded us to light the Yom Kippur candles.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam. You bring us here. Baruch atah Adonai,
Holy One of blessing,
Eloheinu melech haolam.
your presence fills creation.
You keep us here. Shechianu,
You keep us alive,
V'kimanu,
sustaining our lives.
V'higianu lazman hazeh,
Helping us reach this day. us alive,
Viki Manu,
sustaining our life.
Vihigi Anu,
Lazman
Hazeh.
Shechianu.
Shechianu,
You keep us alive,
Viki Manu,
sustaining our life.
Vihigi Anu, Lazman Hazeh.
Help us to reach this day.
Shechianu,
You keep us alive,
Viki Manu,
sustaining our lives. Vehigianu Lazman
Give us the strength to keep our promises, the sacred vows of partners in marriage, the promises of love and care between parents and children, the promises of duty between citizens and country, the oaths of doctors, the sacred trust of teachers. Give us the strength to keep our promises to our friends and colleagues, to those who live with us and depend on us, to those who work for us and those for whom we work, to those who pray with us and those for whom we pray, to those we love and those we serve. Give us the courage to keep our promises to ourselves, to one another, and to future generations. And as we think of the promises that we make one to another, we prepare to recite our Kol Nidre prayer. This evening, we have 3 musicians who've collaborated to offer us a unique rendition of this prayer. Our cantorial soloist, Marcy Schulman, alongside a guest cellist, Stephen Thor Sigurdsson, as well as Miles Eichenhorn, who those of you who watch regular Shabbat will recognize, as well as him being a part of our High Holy Day experience thus far. I'm delighted to share that Miles has accepted an invitation to become our cantorial intern, and I'd like to offer this first opportunity for him to reintroduce himself to you in his own words.
Every single aspect of my Jewish self has only grown through being at Kolami and working at Kolami. I'm an actor primarily, and I go to school for musical theater. But there's so much of that can be connected to Jewish service. And being able to, even at 13, feel that connection to 2 extremely important pieces of myself, I think that is probably my favorite moment in my Kolami history. It made me feel like Judaism was always a piece of me.
Miles, we're excited to spend the coming weeks and months with you. And as we prepare for our Kol Nidre prayer, I welcome Jim and Cindy Stegman to hold our Torah scrolls. Knowingly or not, the whole community of Israel and all who live among them have sinned. Let them be forgiven. As in your love you have been patient with this people, from the time you led us out of Egypt to the present day, so in your great love may you forgive your people now. O God, how can we know you? Where can we find you? You are as close to us as breathing, yet you are farther than the farthermost star. You are as mysterious as the vast solitudes of night, yet as familiar to us as the light of the sun. To Moses you said, "You cannot see my face, but I will make all my goodness pass before you." Even so does your goodness pass before you in the realm of nature and in the varied experiences of our lives.
Avad olam beit Yisrael am haftar Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu lemadita Makein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu u'v'kumeinu nesiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu v'orech yameinu v'hem nekeh yomam v'layla. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Devon, Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'atecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom halevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam b'shivtecha b'veitecha v'lechtecha b'derech v'shachbecha v'kumecha v'kshartam lehot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha v'chtavtam al mizuzot beitecha v'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
True and enduring are the words spoken by our prophets. You are the living God. Your word brings life and light to the soul. You are the first and the last. Besides you, there is no Redeemer or Savior. You are the strength of our life, the power that saves us. Your majesty and your truth abide forever. You have been the help of our people in time of trouble. You are our refuge in all generations. Your power was manifest when we went free out of Egypt. In every liberation from bondage we see it. May your law of freedom rule the hearts of all your children, and your law of justice unite them in friendship. May the righteousness of all nations rejoice in your love and triumph in your power. O God, our refuge and our hope, we glorify your name now, as did our people in ancient days.
Adonai,
We continue with a moment of quiet meditation and reflection.
אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום, וטוב עיניך יברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה ישלומך. בספר חיים ברכה ושלום, ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה, ברכה ושלום, נצטער ונתכתב לפניך, אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל, לחיים טובים ושלום. ברוך אתה אדוני, עושה השלום.
When I was young and learned the alphabet, life was open to me. A was full of aspiration, B was for beauty, C for confidence, and D for dreams, and so on through the list, no fewer than 26. Opportunities, 26 possibilities. And yet I fear that with the passage of time, I've squandered them, creating instead A's of apathy, B's of brusqueness, and C's of coarseness. Help me then to return to that innocence. Let the letters be letters once again, and let them rise to the heavens and form into the words that you know I wish to say.
Heavy שקטנו לפניך, ויודעים ולא יודעים.
The ways we have wronged you under duress and by choice, and harm we have caused in your world consciously and unconsciously.
אחי שקטנו לפניך, בבלי דת, ואחי שקטנו לפניך, בריצת רגליים להרע.
The ways we have wronged you through our thoughtlessness, and harm we have caused in your world through impulsive acts of malice.
אחי שקטנו לפניך, בחוזק יד, ואחי שקטנו לפניך, בזלזול הורים ומורים.
The ways we have wronged you by abusing power, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers.
אחי שקטנו לפניך, ביצר הרע, ואחי שקטנו לפניך, בקשיות עורף.
The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through inflexibility and stubbornness.
אחי שקטנו לפניך, בחחש ובכזב, ואחי שקטנו לפניך, בקלות ראש.
The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world by making light of serious matters.
ואחי שקטנו לפניך, בשיח שפתותינו, ואחי שקטנו לפניך, בצרות עין.
The ways we have wronged you in our routine conversations, and harm we have caused in your world through envy. Our God, God of all generations, may the sense of your presence never leave us. May it keep us ever faithful to your covenant. Make us responsive to your teaching, that we may walk in your ways. Fill our souls with awe and our hearts with love, that we may return to you in truth and with all our being. Eternal God, let the strength of our longing for you help us to grow in the wise use of our power, that through us your power may be magnified in human life, so we may hallow this world and labor to redeem it.
Spirit,
The mayor was in a tight re-election campaign. For days he'd campaigned nonstop at town halls, the county fair, knocking on door after door. One evening after a long day, he made his way home. He passed a bar and decided to seek out just a few more constituents before calling it a night. Inside, he saw tables filled with friends talking boisterously, but at the bar, he noticed a woman sitting all alone. So he saddled up beside her and asked to buy her a drink. She thanked him, but wondered why a stranger had brought her a beer. "I'm running for mayor," he explained, "and I want your vote. "You've got it," she said, grabbing the glass. "Anyone's better than that jerk who's in there now." In the mid-17th century, trade routes had begun to bring profit to the fledgling colony of New Amsterdam. In 1654, a handful of destitute Jews sailed into the harbor. Among the new Jewish arrivals was an impoverished man by the name of Asher Levy. In those days, Jews were ineligible for citizenship and were required to pay a tax in lieu of being allowed to serve on guard duty. Why, thought Asher, shouldn't I be permitted to serve as a guard because I'm Jewish? He fought the issue in the courts and, after 3 years, was permitted to be a guard and granted citizenship in the newly established colony. In Asher Levy's story originates the religious freedoms we enjoy today. Some attempt to argue America is a white Christian country. This is patently false. Our Jewish American forebears played a role from the start. Jews have mostly been supportive of their countries of residence. A standard prayer for the king, Hanotain Teshuvah, which evolved into the prayer for our country, appears in traditional prayer books since the 15th century. Over 2.5 millennia ago, the prophet Jeremiah, whose exile in Egypt I mentioned last week, advised the Jews in exile to seek the welfare of the city where you live. Similarly, a rabbinic principle, the law of the land is the law dina de malchuta dina, directed Jews that they must abide by the laws of the states in which they reside. Sadly, our loyalty has not always been reciprocated. The 2nd century Rabbi Hanina Sagan HaKohen teaches, "Pray for the welfare of the government, for were it not for the fear it inspires, every man would swallow his neighbor alive." As Jews, we have experienced the precariousness of disenfranchisement. For example, Jews experienced vacillating attitudes towards themselves under successive Russian czars. In Fiddler on the Roof, the character Labish asked the rabbi, "Rabbi, is there a prayer for the czar?" The rabbi pauses. "A blessing for the czar." "Of course," he responds. "May God bless and keep the czar far away from us." Keeping a low profile may have kept Jews safe for a while. But when Jews fell prey to Russian pogroms, they were left without power or recourse except to flee. But America is not a dictatorship. Thanks to generations of American Jews who came before us, we have a real stake here, an equal share in determining who our leaders will be. Unlike Tsarist Russia, America is a democracy, a country for the people and by the people. Chapter 20 of the book of Deuteronomy warns against concentrating too much power in the hands of one person. The 15th century Rabbi Don Isaac Abarbanel experienced expulsion from Portugal before discovering the benefits of democracy in the Venetian Republic. Commenting on Deuteronomy 20, he emphasizes that having a king is not a necessity, but a choice. The 19th century Rabbi Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin, who lived under Tsarist Russia, goes one step further. He writes, "There are different opinions among people as to which form of government functions better, and because of that, the agreement of the people is required." In America, Jews cultivated allies to ensure our equal protection under the law. Among them, founding fathers like Benjamin Franklin, who bankrolled the construction of many of our country's first synagogues, and George Washington, who reassured the Hebrew congregation of Newport, Rhode Island, that the United States gives to bigotry no sanction. We held our fellow Americans to the literal meaning of the phrase, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." We demanded equal treatment under the law and separation of church and state. We established the notion of a Judeo-Christian ethos. Through active civic engagement in America, not only have Jews gained a protected status beyond that experienced in any other country at any other time, aside from Israel, but we have played a major role in promoting our values among the constellation of American values. Knowing this, why shouldn't we be motivated even more to ensure everyone is permitted a voice and a vote in our country? Ought we not to recognize these protections can only be maintained when we engage, rather than becoming cynical and depressed at the current political intransigence? Ought we not to redouble our efforts to protect the notion of a multicultural America that has protected us for so many generations? A recent article appearing in The Atlantic by the Jewish commentator Yoni Appelbaum writes, "Democracy depends on the consent of the losers." In the article, Appelbaum argues that for most of the United States history, our political parties have viewed losing elections as tolerable because of the significant concessions retained by the losing party, especially in the Senate, where 3/5 or 60 votes are required for closure of debate and the proposal of constitutional amendments. Whether a religious minority or a political minority, engagement remains key. What is most frightening is that in recent years, those in both parties find it less tolerable to be in the minority and have sought to erode each other's influence. Tactics such as voter suppression and gerrymandering directly undercut the American values of equal representation in government. Of even deeper concern, recent research by political scientists at Vanderbilt University and other institutions have found both parties distressingly willing to dehumanize members of the opposite party. Partisans are willing to explicitly state that members of the opposing party are like animals, that they lack essential human traits, the researchers found. This is a dangerous line to cross, as the researchers include dehumanization may loosen the moral restraints that would normally prevent us from harming another human being. We must not be bashful about offering our Jewish voice to these issues. To dehumanize is not the Jewish way. Jewish values assert every person is created in the image of God, B'Tselem Elohim, and thereby worthy of respect. This is the sort of decency modeled in the relationship between the late justices Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Antonin Scalia. It is a decency modeled in relationships that used to be more common in United States government, but have grown rarer and rarer. It is a decency we must encourage and defend because the welfare of our government depends on our ability to restore civility to our government. It is incumbent upon us to argue back against a view that seeks to marginalize the role of multiculturalism in the formation of our country. This is another principle included in the Talmud, where the losing side of an argument must be preserved as a minority opinion in whatever decision emerges. And as we mourn the passing of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, may her memory be for a blessing, Zichrona Livracha, as we mourn her passing this Yom Kippur, we become acutely aware that this Jewish principle has made its way into our secular lives, as Justice Ginsburg was the author of many withering minority opinions, which we still look to for guidance, even if they never became law. Rabbi Jonah Pesner, the director of the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, puts it this way. He says, "Our purpose is nothing less than redemption of the world." Rabbi Tarfon reminds us that we are not required to complete the work, but neither are we permitted to abstain from it. Leon Wieseltier, one of our foremost Jewish intellectuals, is adamant that being Jewish is something unique. To be a Jew is not to be an American or a Westerner or a New Yorker. To be a Jew is to be a Jew. It is its own category, its own autonomous way of moving through the world. We cannot separate our Jewish values from the lens through which we see our country. For example, we're taught there's no true friendship without loving rebuke, tochecha. And so if we are going to be friends to this country, this means we must dig in, get dirty, march, and pray for our country's welfare. In her famous Diary of a Young Girl, Anne Frank writes, "Who knows? Maybe our religion will teach the world and all the people within it about goodness, and that's the reason, the only reason, we have to suffer." Politics is never an easy issue. And neither is loving rebuke when we feel another's speech or actions are wrong. But we need to keep talking to each other. Most importantly, we need to keep talking to our neighbors and colleagues, our friends and family, and especially with those with whom we disagree. We can't disengage. We need to insist passionately and civilly on having our voices heard. As American Jews, we are best protected when we engage. As the American-born Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir said at the White House in 1969, "Don't become cynical. Don't give up hope. Don't believe that everything is judged only by expediency. There is idealism in the world. There is human brotherhood." So let us be proud. Let us be proud that we live in a democracy that allows us the opportunity to engage and to vote, to question and to debate, and the freedom to speak out, to be heard, to run for office and make changes that we believe will create the most just and fair society for all. Let us hold our own country accountable to those values, because they are also Jewish values. May this be God's will. Ken Yehi Ratzon. We continue with the Aleinu, a prayer which expresses our hope to see our world transformed for justice, for goodness, for security, for all.
Aleinu l'shapeach l'hadon hakol, l'tein gedula liyotzeh bereshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzon, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gur aleinu kechol ha'olam, anachnu korim
the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when lies and bigotry shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. So may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Our thoughts turn to loved ones whom death has taken from us in recent days, and those who died at the season in years past. Our hearts open as well to the wider circles of loss in our community and wherever grief touches the human family. As a congregation, we acknowledge the following individuals who've been taken from us in more recent days. We're in a period of Shloshim for Judy Ruggenbuck, a friend of Joyce Lemkin, as well as Elaine Kozłowski Hashimi, Linda Sadie Frank, Constance Silver, and Helen Silverberg. We further remember the following individuals whose yard sites occur this calendar week. They are Rosalind August, Bella Basson, Herman Bernstein, Cecilia Billis, David Davidson, Esther Deitch, Samuel Carl Eder, Pearl Elian, Louis Ellenbogen, Marlene Flagg, John Flashner, Neil Garrett, Edith Goodman, Mildred Kornheiser, Audrey Luco, Adele Mailer, Marilyn Menlo, Irving Newman, Jerome Packer, Aviva Robinson, Morris Rawson, Susan Schneider, Joseph Toporowski, and Philip Lester Werner. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing in this new year and always. We rise in body or in spirit as we recite together the words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shemei Rabbah mevorach leolam ulomei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha barichu, Le'ela ule'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'ama v'imru amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shamaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. May God bring peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved, as we say, Amen. As we conclude our Kol Nidre service, let us be uplifted. May all who are fasting have an easy fast, Sum Kal, and may this new year be filled with peace and security, with health, sustenance, and friendship, with compassion and forgiveness. May this be our blessing, and we say, Amen.
May this be a year of love and kindness.
May strangers come to be friends.
May truth and compassion always guide us. Amen.
May this be a year of hope and healing
For all of those in need,
May all of our deeds be a blessing.
Amen.
we love.
A world that we can be proud of.
Long as there are stars above.